If you've been a follower of the channel for a while, you'll be very familiar with this car. This is the Lexus LC500, and it's the best car in the world. Of course, I'm saying that very subjectively, but to me this is the best car that I've driven since I started doing downshift about 4 years ago. And since then, I've driven over 500 new cars, from Hyundais to McLarens to Ferraris. And this week, the LC week, this is the week I look forward to every single year. The biggest and main reason I love this LC so much is right under the hood. The 5-liter V8 from Lexus is a phenomenal engine. It makes 471 horsepower and 398 pound-feet. But it also makes something more important than numbers. That sound! I mean, this is the best noise to come off of a car ever. And then to get that little stutter at redline, and then the cracks, the sharp and crisp cracks that you get on downshift, and the sharpness that you get on downshift, it's just intoxicating. The LC gets a lot of love from a select few, and if you're one of them, you're a big brain. However, since it's only making 471 horsepower and less than 400 pound-feet, and only gets to 60 in 4.5 seconds, it doesn't get as much attention as it deserves. But those people are looking at it all wrong. This isn't a sports car. This is a GT car. And what's more, this one specifically is a convertible. So this isn't trying to be a high-end, ragged edge performance car. Personally, I'd rather have mine in the coupe body style, but this convertible is good for one thing. The LC is quintessential GT car. It's big, it's comfortable, it's luxurious, it's got plenty of power, it's got a great soundtrack, and it looks the part. It's made for distance cruising, not lap times. But does that mean it can't drive hard? While this is a big GT car, and therefore the limits of handling isn't really the point, you can still have a lot of fun behind the wheel in this thing. The chassis is really, really good. And you can even see carbon fiber on your door jambs and forged carbon in the door itself. You've got bigger brakes, they're more performance oriented. You've got a Torsen rear LSD. You've got an adaptive damper set with the Yamaha high performance rear damper. So with traction off, and that's important, with traction off, you can really whip this thing around. But Matt, if you want a performance Lexus, surely you'd get the RCF, right? Well, if I'm honest, no. And it's for 10 reasons, and every single one of them is in the gearbox. We've driven the RCF, the GSF, the IS500, and every single time I'm left thinking to myself, if only this had the 10-speed from the LC. The transmission really does make that much of a difference to me. There's just more crispness, there's more drama, and what is this car about if not drama? But let's slow down for a second and talk about the cruising capability of this car. After all, it is a GT. I'm not sure if you've noticed this yet or not, but this is the convertible, which means that this is of course more money. And I did notice a little squeak or two from the A-pillar when I was kind of in mid-corner and went over a bump. I didn't notice that last year in the red convertible, so it may just be a one-off thing. However, aside from that, the driving experience can be as civilized as you want it to be. But with the top up, it's whisper quiet. With the top down, you have a wind blocker, and you can still have it nice and quiet and comfy then too. The damping softens up really, really nicely. The steering gets really light, and the shifts just fade away. Plus, just sitting here, I feel special, although not special enough to get a wave from the only other LC I saw this week. Okay. Oh, it's hard to get out because I'm old. Speaking of that, this is in fact the best car in the world. However, I don't know if it's my favorite spec ever. Lexus has a little bit of a brand identity problem, and it's the fact that basically everyone of my age thinks that the only people that drive cars with this logo on the grille are old. And I don't know that the nori green and the tan interior and tan top really really scream youth. But in any case, that's not to say that it's not a nice color. You have a lot of dimension in here, especially in like bright midday sunlight. It's very, very pretty. You've got your triple beam LEDs up here, along with your Lexus L or check mark here. You do have mirror detail inside your actual headlight housing. Of course, spindle grille down there. And then your turning signals are right here. So they're not actually baked into the LEDs like some more modern Lexuses. You do have air curtains functionally right here. 21-inch two-tone wheel. This is the upgraded wheel, not the base 20-inch. And they're wrapped in some Bridgestone Potenza tires. They're perfectly fine. This, again, isn't a sports car, it's a GT car, so you're not really driving this thing at the limit. Around the side, you have two-tone black and chrome plastic wing mirrors. You've got a body-colored A-pillar, Audi. And then, of course, it's a convertible, so you have this really, really long deck. I mean, this is huge. It's not like the coupe version of the LC had a big back seat, but we'll get to that in a little bit. It definitely suffers a little bit. Around the back here, you do have your third brake light up here at the top. Then you've got your Lexus badge, LC. I think the worst part of the exterior of this car is just the kind of like plastic textured material on the top of the taillight. The taillight itself is fabulously gorgeous. It's a mirrored effect. It's very cool. Again, you have your turn signal in the lower portion, so not baked in, but it is just kind of on a car that is otherwise exquisitely built, designed. The materials are great. This is clearly the cheapest part of the car. And then down at the bottom, you've got very simple dual outlet exhaust making the best sound in the world. Let's step inside. Then as we step inside, look at the carbon fiber on the door sill. You even have forged carbon on the door itself. It's just kind of a really, really nice detail. And then the interior is really where Lexus starts to really do well. And by what I mean by that is the design, the materials, the textures, the quality, everything feels super special and incredibly solid and well built. And that's because they don't recycle the same interior across the rest of their lineup. Germans. The door handles are just a beautiful, something that you would never see in anything else. The grab handle on the center console is integrated incredibly well. You see that on other SUVs from like Mercedes GLE and things like that. And it's just different. It's just better here. The passenger dash area, it's got its own design, and the stitching and the quilting on the leather and the glove box, it's very upscale. It's really, really nice. However, there is always a trade-off to design. One, you only have one cup holder and it's not huge. Your center console storage is pretty much a joke. You can fit your wallet and your phone there, and that's about it, assuming you don't have a very fat wallet. And then your glove box, it's really, really small. But they do have a nice and clever way to disguise the top-oration controls. They're right here in front of your little center console area. It controls all the windows, and then your top. It's pretty quick. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's fine. I'm in a Lexus. I'm not in a hurry. And then as we start to talk about technology, keep in mind this is a really pretty car. The tech stack is never really where Lexus shines, though. The LC is still on the old system with the trackpad. You get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's not wireless, but you get heated and cooled seats and a heated steering wheel and a heated neck scarf. And the problem is you have to go into the trackpad and the infotainment to use any of that stuff, and that's really frustrating. It takes my eyes off the road, and it's borderline dangerous. It'll be a lot nicer when they bring the new infotainment system from the NX working touchscreen. I've never wanted a touchscreen in any of their car, but it would fix a big problem that this LC has. But those things aside, I mean, this is a GT car. It's not, a huge tech fest. It's not a huge, cargo. It's not a minivan. What it does well is be really, really comfortable. And that starts with the seats. You don't have massage, but you have the heated, the cooled, the neck scarf and everything for the convertible. And the seats are fabulous. It feels like they were molded and sculpted to my personal back, which is really, really nice. Everything in here is smooth. It's really upscale feeling. Everything feels expensive. And then you get to the back seats. And like I said, outside, the coupe didn't have huge back seats. This has, I mean, you can hardly call these back seats, but they do have seat belts. So I guess it bumps your insurance class down or whatever, but they're not usable. No, not even kind of a little bit. And the trunk is kind of similar to the back seats, although it is actually usable. It's not huge. You can fit a furnace filter back there, which is a niche thing, but it was my use case this week. But you can't fit much else back there. So for a GT car that's meant to eat up continents, you can't bring much with you. But I think that's probably a good time to get into the final thoughts. I said at the beginning of this video that the LC is the best car in the world. It is my favorite car, but it's not without its faults. However, at $112,000 as tested, I challenge you to find a more special and unique experience than a Lexus LC500. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.